Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia, and welcome to Healing from Complex PTSD TV. My name's Linda. I'm a certified complex trauma recovery coach and educator. And it's great to have you here. It's great to be back doing regular videos. Now, last week we talked about dissociation and complex trauma and what had happened for me. And I really had hoped to be able to give you a day by day write up or example, even in our community notes on YouTube or in the posts on Instagram, in order that you could see that coming out of a dissociative episode isn't just one step after another and we get through it, because the brain is so powerful. And once we get down to the experience of knowing that the brain is actually driving this, it's not us, and not knowing that it's not you is not your fault either, because so much of the literature that I read, even to write the certification, says you are in control of this. So you've got absolute say over what's happening, and you developed the dissociation and onward goes. The reality is, with complex trauma and childhood developmental trauma, we didn't do this, okay? We didn't cause our brain to rupture due to the toxic stress and the overwhelm with situations that threatened our life, threatened our attachment to where there was no secure attachment. We had no language around what was happening to us as a child. And also, these things can happen before we're even forming memory. And therefore, in our amygdala, we can have a lot of unprocessed sensory information as well. Now, dissociation isn't a one and done, and it's not just an easy fix, okay? So I was going through this dissociative episode for a few days, and I went, oh my goodness, I haven't explained to you what's happening. I haven't sort of reached out and said, this is where I'm at. I went, why not? This is what I love to do, is help you be able to get the real life lowdown, if you will, on what's happening with dissociation. Well, with all of complex trauma, because there's actually hardly any real genuine information out there. So what I came to understand about 4 days in was when I sat there and said, why haven't I been able to talk about this? I actually hit on the right question. And I went, all this shame flooded my body. And that's when I realized that I feel ashamed that I can't control what the brain is doing, no matter how much work I've done. And I sat there and I went, well, is this real? That's not quite the right words. Is there any evidence to support that I should feel shame about this? And I went, no way. I know from all the study I've done and all the work I've done that the brain is this powerful that the only option I have is to work with it, not against it, and to work with developing continual internal awareness of what the brain is driving. So let me explain. Each day I was able to continue to move my body, okay? And at the moment, now if you go back and watch my dissociation videos or any of the videos where I talk about movement, we have to be careful that we're not sabotaging ourselves and going, oh, exercise, it doesn't work for me. It does work, but not in the typical way. So we can be exercising, and I've exercised for a very long time, and not get the buzz out of it that people who haven't experienced complex trauma do. So it takes a lot for us to be able to continue to get up consistently and exercise, because it becomes a bit like, well, this is still happening, why should I exercise? But I came to understand that, and I've now put notes up on my dresser, exercise or dissociate, exercise or be in chronic pain. And I've got a third one up, exercise. And it's probably got something to do with consistency. So it's better to do a little bit every single day. So 1 minute a day built on and built on and built on is more important than doing 20 minutes 3 times a week when it comes to brain recovery. Yes, we are recovering our brain functions. So when it came to the shame factor, I went, we need to know about this. We need to know that in the middle of a healthy recovery, this toxic shame can come up because it's part of, as we see here, isolating us. It wants to isolate us and make us feel like there's something wrong with us when there's not. We are simply working with very deep levels of impact from what we suffered in childhood, okay? And the opposite side of this is we can do work to learn to understand how I can feel worthy. And because I've done that work, I was able to question, why would I feel shame about talking to you? It was the question that really opened my mind up to how deep an impact shame can have on us and how it can shut us down. Toxic shame can be emotionally distressing, and it can bring up all manner of things. And it can, and for me, the depression is very close to this dissociation trigger. So I had to be very careful and listen to my thoughts. I had to be questioning whether they were the truth, okay? Whether these thoughts were evidence-based. So could I see any evidence to agree with the thoughts? And they were no. Like even last night, when I was thinking about today, and I've been really listening to my thoughts to watch the cycle, it was like a whirlwind went off in my head and wanted to shut me down. And I went, oh my goodness, why? And it even felt depressing. And I was like, why? And I just went, no. I know how to look at my day and put it into an order and work through what's happening. So no, I'm not going to accept this. Now, don't think that you can just do this straight away. Remember, I've been at this recovery road for some time now, and now I can make those choices because of all the work I've done. I could not have made that choice not to buy into the whirlwind last night if I hadn't done and known who I am and where I'm going and what I want to do. There are so many aspects to this. Shame can affect our relationships because we tend to want to hide from other people. So in this instance, it wanted me to hide from coming here and saying, listen, this is how powerful the brain is. It can shut us down. It can put us into a state of fog, and we don't get to have a choice in the brain, what the brain's doing. Our choice comes when we decide what we want to do. Now, it's going to depend which stage you're in as to what you can and can't do. So back in the early days of dissociation, it just used to knock me straight out. I had no choice, no option. It was just, I was asleep. However, now that we're a few years down the track, now what I'm doing is like balancing the dissociation and what the brain's doing to what I'm doing during my day. So if I've got clients during the day, then I'm balancing, do I need to have a nap, a quick nap, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour? I can now balance that. Over the weekend, I was exhausted from doing the new thing of doing the balancing act, so I had to make sure that I rested. And my trouble is I don't actually like to have a lot of rest, as in sleep at night is fine, but during the day, I think it just brings up memories of being bedridden for 2.5 years, and I don't like it, okay? But I also can acknowledge now that in doing the changes that I'm doing, which is, okay, I need to work for this amount of hours, then I need to have a rest. I'm actually changing up how my brain is going to respond in the future. And I think for us with complex trauma too, it can be a real eye-opener, if you will, that what I'm doing today actually does impact my recovery as I'm going into the future. So I may go through this process of feeling the shame again. I may go through a process of having to balance everything. Either way, we can get through this, provided we remember that our brain is driving the show and we get to determine how much we can balance at any given point in time. And rest is the most powerful healing agent for our brain. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.